Hello viewers, my name is Misha and I'm here today to talk about my experiences and the process of what I faced when working with my Genius Hour project. I just wanted to preface here and just say that this was my first time ever having a Genius Hour project. I never really understood what exactly it was, and you know, what was happening in schools with Genius Hour until this course. I saw a few things here and there, and I saw a few videos regarding Genius Hour, but I never understood or I never knew how much ownership and creativity and freedom that students are actually given within their Genius Hour project. It was almost different for me because I was so very used to having something that was a structured assignment and this had to be done first and then this and then this and then this, or here's your essay, do this essay, but make sure all of this is discussed. What was very interesting with the Genius Hour project is that it's what you want to do. It's what your interest is. It's what you want to further explore as an individual, as a learner, as an inquirer, and what you want to learn and what you really want to take with your experiences and move forward with. I found that very, 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 very difficult at the beginning because I'm not used to having or using my creativity, for example. I'm so used to just doing what it says that it was very different for me, and it was very like, what do I actually care about? What do I want to do my Genius Hour project on? So even the first few weeks of the course, it took me a while to really pinpoint something that I wanted to do. And then finally, I began to reflect, and I began to reflect on some of the things I've been seeing, and I knew it. I just knew that I wanted to pursue this. So in the summer times, for the past few years now, I've been working with my personal trainer, and we've been really working on high intensity training inside of a gym, using weights, also looking at endurance and many other factors. I usually do interval training on the treadmill to begin and warm up, and then we do a lot of like a mix of like CrossFit and weight training. However, I noticed a lot of my friends running and being a part of half and full marathons. I never really understood what it took to be a part of that, or what I needed to do in order to be able to do one of these things. And I always thought it was very simple. I thought if you could run on a treadmill, and if I'm doing interval training on a treadmill, it must be the same as jogging outside. If it says on my treadmill that I'm doing 2K or I'm doing 5K, that must be the exact same as running actually outdoors. But this was tested, and I came to realize that it's not really the same at all, and it takes a complete different set of skills and endurance, personally, of what I thought, in order to complete this task. So I began my research, and I was really interested to see if I could really do something like this. And I looked at research, and I looked at plans of starting slower and then moving your way up, and increasing the time, increasing the distance that you go each time. So you're not just day one going 5K because you don't have the endurance for that yet. So I like how the schedule that I was following, and I originally saw it on Nike, and it's linked in my blog, um, was to follow a day-by-day process. And I discussed this in my blog too. There were so many times that I was just like, okay, I've done this for a few days now. Is it over yet? I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Because I think it's especially difficult when you're factoring in school. You're factoring in the courses that you have, the work that you need to do, and then jobs. Many students have jobs. So how can I then take my time away from that and do something that I'm passionate about, but I don't necessarily have the time to do? So I found that a big struggle at the beginning to find motivation, to find drive, and to find me time, essentially. But after I was able to go through that block and that barrier and understand that this is not necessarily something that I'm robbing out of my other things to do, but this is for me, and I need to do this for my mental wellness, whether it be for this particular Genius Hour to train for a 5K or for another. This is something very important. So I continued my research, and I continued training each day, and I followed a Monday to Friday schedule because realistically I wouldn't do it 7 days a week, and I figured that if one day there was way too much going on at school, then I could move that and do it on the weekend. And I started slow, so the distance was very slow as to what I did. And I looked at it more for time rather than distance, if that makes sense. Because then I felt like the first thing when I kept looking at distance, I kept looking at my phone to see what I was at, rather than with time I could set a timer and then I would hear it in like through my headphones that okay, like you could probably start heading back now. So I thought the distance I didn't necessarily look for each day, but then I found like it just became a part of routine. I really enjoyed it, and it was so nice to explore something that I wanted to look at and not something that I was told to look at. So through this process, I really saw the importance of having a genius hour and how I can really do that within my classroom. I don't think I could ask students to do a genius hour and give them the guidelines of a genius hour and the importance of a genius hour without doing it myself. Because not only is that contradicting, but I can't really share with them the importance of it or, share any experiences with them had I not have gone through it on my own. And I think it's so important to allow students to take ownership and to do something that they love. And one thing, like for me, like that was difficult is that I saw it as two separate entities. Is here's my hobbies, here's school. However, that's a very not necessarily a correct way to see it because we can integrate our passions, things that motivate us, the things that we truly love into our schooling. There's so many connections that I found throughout, not necessarily about running a 5K race, but about the process. We learn about, taking our time with things, not necessarily doing it all at once, pacing ourselves out, and little things that we learn about nutrition, things like that. There's so many ways that I can integrate that within the things I learned about school, competitiveness, for example. Like I said, there's so many little things that you can integrate, and depending on what the child chooses, whether it's an initiative to embark, to take part of, like a recycling initiative, for example, there's so many ways to interconnect that into our curriculum that it doesn't necessarily always have to be a separate entity. And that's what I really enjoyed about this process. Now, I know this TED Talk is already running a little long, and I really appreciate you all joining me on my journey throughout this time. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm very approachable and I would love to answer your questions about my Genius Hour, about experiences, or even tools if you have any questions. You can reach me at my email, which is mb12gy@brocku.ca. And thank you very much once again for taking part in my journey and viewing my Genius Hour blog with the course Education 8Y34. Thank you. Misha B signing out.